All right, Duje, man, it's great to have you here. You know, I'm lucky, but also, I'm lucky to be able to bring you on and to introduce you to our kids. We're they're gonna people coming in one by one, but one of my greatest pleasures is to have someone with such a unique story like yourself coming from a much different place than most American kids or Washingtonians are used to. And yeah, I think it's important for everybody to have different perspective and to know that there is no one right way to achieving their dreams. And I remember a couple of stories about you, from when we first met each other before we went to college, and I just want to regurgitate some of those stories and have you tell those stories, from yourself. First, again, thanks for being here. You're a world traveler. Currently you're traveling the U.S., but stuck in New Mexico because of the quarantine. There are better places to be stuck, but you've also got a lot of beautiful places to visit, parks that no one can keep you from going into. So, I see your posts, and it looks pretty cool. And I think somebody that's interested enough to see the world is you. You've got a different perspective and a different understanding of what's important. Again, how about you? Just tell us where you come from and how you started swimming.
All right. I come from Split, Croatia. That's a small town on the Dalmatian coast. So I've been near sea my whole life. A lot of seamen were basically part of the country. Were down the coast were mostly pirates throughout the history. So really unique perspective on life and people and culture. And yeah, my city has the most Olympic medals per capita, which is really interesting because people are kind of crazy there, to be honest. And you have to be crazy to be excellent athlete, right? A lot of singers as well. So really different culture than here. 1700-year-old city. My family dates back like 1600 years back, which is really rare for somebody living in the United States. And yeah, it's a different approach, as you said. For sure, different childhood. I mean, I was first year of elementary school. I lived through the war, so. I got shot on my way to school. I was seeing gunfire. I was seeing shelling. So it's a different life, and from that side also.
I remember you saying that there were snipers like in the city.
Yeah. For like we had snipers for like 6 months approximately, and even today, if you go to the biggest swimming pool in the city, you're gonna see bullet holes on it. They never fixed it.
What did you do? I mean, you were like 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah, I was 6, 7 years old, and we were like, I mean, everybody had a gun. People were shooting guns on the street. Like it was really difficult time, but it made me a lot tougher than anybody else. I remember coming to college, 18 years old. I never stepped on U.S. soil before that, and I just arrived in California, and everybody to me looked like 5 to 10 years younger than me, because I've been through so much. I've lost friends already. People die that I know. So like you cope with things much better than a lot of your friends at that time. And yeah, I mean, I grew up next to the swimming pool. The swimming pool is outdoor pool, which kind of followed me throughout the career. The best results I ever did was outdoors. I hated swimming indoor for some reason. That's why I love training at Cal. That's why I love training in Florida, just for that. And it's interesting. I think that like 70 to 80%, definitely all my long course medals from Worlds and Olympics are outdoor. So
Yeah.
I always kind of felt that vibe of swimming outdoors, like since I was a kid. And yeah, throughout war, we couldn't have that indoor pool also, so we would we would train only for 6 months, and then during winter time, I did 1 year. I did a volleyball, and later when I was 14 years old, I connected with this guy who came into our club. He was training all of us. He came from kickboxing. He was training like fighters for what is today. What do you see these martial
MMA.
sports? Yeah, what MMA is today before was K1, right? And it was in Japan. It was
Yeah.
the main prize, and he was training the fighters for that. And he came in swimming with this really, really different perspective. He changed all of us, we did a lot of motoric exercises, a lot of exercises to beat the fear out of us also, like a lot of crazy stuff that you get sued if you do that in the United States, But we were pushing limits all the time, and different approach with kickboxing. I also did 1 year. I didn't swim at all for like 4 or 5 months. All I did every day was kickboxing, and I came to the race, jumped in the water, and broke the junior record in 50 fly at that time. So that I think I was like 16 or 17, and I did that for 6 months, and it's really like strange because it's completely different sport, you do a lot of ropes, you do a lot of jumps, but you have to hit somebody that is tall as you or even taller. So I would have to stretch for like hour and a half daily, and then do maybe hour and a half aerobics and sparring and jumping the ropes and everything. So definitely different than everybody else. And throughout that time, that I did yoga throughout my career. Remember that about me?
Yeah.
I was always doing yoga. So I started doing that when I was like 15 probably. And every meet before every race, I had a routine that was like half of it was yoga, more than half.
See, this is why I'm happy to have brought you on, just because again, like it's not traditional to stop swimming and just do kickboxing. But what people don't know is this: it strengthens your core, strengthens your leg, and really in swimming. And again, I don't want to get too advanced here, but a lot of swimming comes from the core, and a lot of swimming, especially sprinting, comes from your legs. So, I remember I heard that during winters, because you were swimming outside, swim indoors. I don't know if you had an indoor pool that you had available, but I just remember hearing the stories of Duje Draganja. He would not swim during the winters. He would just do kickboxing, and then when it got a little warm, he would go back to swimming. Is that true?
More or less. Like I didn't do much swimming. First of all, I'm a guy that hates cold water. All you guys know that about me. If it's a bit colder or cooler, it's like one of those things that tell you right away that you're a sprinter. If you are afraid of cold water, you're a sprinter. Don't even think about doing long distance. So that's the first sign.
Yeah.
So yeah, I used to do a lot of running. I still run. I still like that. We used to run 3 times a week for like hour and a half, and then we would go for a swim. We would do that 6 a.m. So 6 a.m. to like 7:15, 7:30, and then we would swim maybe half an hour, go to school, and then swim sometimes in the afternoon or not. But yeah, we did that 3 times a week, early morning, when it's cold in the wintertime and it's like windy as hell. So yeah.
So let's take this back to how did you get started? And if I remember right, you had scoliosis. Is this correct?
Yeah.
And we've got a couple of athletes with scoliosis, and I know that this conversation is going to resonate with them. Now, was swimming one of the reasons that you got into it because you had scoliosis? And tell us about what age you started and why you started swimming of all the sports in Croatia, because Croatia, for everyone that doesn't know, they've got a great tradition in just about every single sport. You could have chosen anything, but how did you get into swimming?
For a fact that it was the closest to the house, I think that's the main reason. The second reason is, while I was like growing up, winter or summer, whenever, if my parents would walk me down the beach, I would jump in the water. So they said, "Oh, this guy likes water. Let's put him in swimming."
How
and
old
it
were
was
you
close. Yeah, it was close to the house. I probably was like 4 or 5. Like I would
then?
jump in water, no questions asked, whenever. And yeah, I started swimming, and I could walk like 10 minutes walk down the beaches to the swimming pool from my house. You've been there, you know how it looks. So it's a nice walk, and started doing that. And to be honest, I was good, and that's what kept me in swimming. I think if I wasn't good, I would probably cross to basketball. Probably would have played even now. Who knows? But yeah, I was so good at it, and then I kept on, improving, and my goals were kept on changing every season. And I saw that I could get a scholarship, which was a huge push for me.
Yeah.
Once I did that and came to US, then things changed again.
Yeah. You said you liked to swim because you were good, but was it about, I mean, everybody likes to win, and that's part of the game. You're happy to win, but was it this winning, was it your need to prove yourself to all your friends, or that you needed to make mom and dad happy, or what was that thing inside of you that that pushed you? I mean, was it or like
changed,
a,
man. It
what's that?
changed. I know it's every season is different. Since you're a kid till like my last season, it's always different motivation. If it's the same one, you're not gonna get far. So you gotta evolve with the game, right? So, of course, sometimes somebody would say something bad and piss me off, and I'd be, yeah, I want to prove them. But that's like a short-term fix. It's not really.
Yeah.
When you see that you're that good, and then you can move the speed of humanity that swims in this medium that is water, then that's like the biggest push that you can actually try and get from yourself, just from that notion and that thought. That's
Yeah.
the ultimate goal.
Yeah. Now, Croatia is known as the country of 1,000 islands. Is that true, or is that just a number that people just threw out?
I think 1,600 if you count in some rocks and smaller islands and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like 800 big ones that you can live on it.
So if you're ever thinking about going on a Euro trip, you can go a lot of great places, but it's Croatia that you have to see at some point for everyone that's here and listening.
It's interesting, Milo, that you say that, because you've been to Rijeka, to the new swimming complex, for past 2 or 3 world champs that were held in Europe or Russia. United States swim team came to Rijeka to train. So and every time they'd say they'd be back because they had such a great time.
That for everyone that doesn't know, that's a pool right on the coast, like right next to the water, and it's got this retractable roof. So I remember that. It's a really, really nice pool. Duje, like, swimming is it's a roller coaster like life. A lot of our kids, they don't understand what it's like to swim at that high level. But really, like, what I want to like kind of focus on is just, your childhood in swimming. What did other than racing fast and winning medals, what did you love about it?
Definitely trips, road trips with your friends, hanging out. I was always the guy that loved meets. I hated training, to be honest. I'm on the lazy side. That
you got a couple of those guys.
Yeah. So I just liked racing and traveling at the same time, exploring new places. Seeing different cultures later on, and of course you got to know when to stop. You can't just come to World Champs in Shanghai and walk around in the market and explore the city. I never could that, but now I'm compensating for that. I'm traveling the world because of that. I've seen how nice the world can be and how beautiful places are in the world, but I couldn't really taste them all the way, and now I'm doing that. So that's one thing that I like the most, just hanging out, traveling, exploring, meeting new people, having good friends by my side that you train with every day. That's the benefits of this sport.
And Croatia is right next to Italy, so you learn. I mean, you learn a lot of languages when you live when you're always visiting different people in the area. I specifically like that part of my career when I was going out there a lot, and I was just, an hour or two drive, and you'll be in another country speaking a different language. And, what is your happiest or fondest memory of your childhood? Where did you go? What is it that you look back on and think, man, that was just a good time in my life?
Well, it's really interesting. Like during the war, when we're on lockdown and you couldn't drive all over the Croatian like cities and different regions, because it was like, there were fights going on, So like we would drive through barricades to go to nationals, which was normal for us. There was one way that you can pass. But once we went to Germany, and there was like, I was probably like 14. And that was like my first trip outside the country, basically. Later on, we went to France a few times. We went everywhere before I was 18. But that was the first one. 14 years old, with the full bus, the whole swim team went to Germany during wartime. And I remember we came back with a bus full of chocolates. Like the Croatian people that lived in Germany bought us the truck full of chocolates. Like we had bags and bags of chocolates coming back from Germany, 14 years old. I remember that. And of course, the Youth Olympic Games, I don't know how they call them now. You remember those?
Yeah.
So that's like the first time that you go with other sports. So you meet all these other like basketball players, some like NBA players also from Croatia that were my age, tennis players, so you meet a lot of different people that later on, some of them stop training and move on. Some of them go on to be excellent athletes in their own field, right?
Yeah. Do you still talk with any of your old swim friends from, again, when you were 9, 10, 11, and just a teenager?
Not really. It's just, I went to States, 18 years old, like I stayed in States for 10 years. It's it. You move on, but you run into them here and there, and you sit with some of them, but it's not like I talk to them every day,
Yeah.
Because everybody grows up, everybody gets family, different obligations. It's life,
Life happens. No, I'll admit, seeing you and again, just seeing a lot of my old friends, I get this warm feeling. I think back, a time when we were like a lot of our athletes today, just just not a whole lot of responsibility in comparison to today. For them with their school and their homework and practice, and it seems like a lot. And when I think back, it was complicated. And that's why when I see you, when I see Dominic online, I see other people, I just look back and I think, man, just the games that we would play at the pool, who would be who would be the first to get in, and that wasn't always the goal. But you would I think back, I remember this wet towel that was at the bottom of the pool, and I dove into the pool at Cal, and I jumped out. It was like 5:30 in the morning. I just launched that wet towel at somebody waiting on deck, and it was really, really cold on deck. And I just remember how mad he got. He ran, he jumped, he started punching me in the water, right? But it wasn't a serious punch. It was just like a friendly punch. But I look back on these memories just so fondly, and that's why having you here, it's kind of cool for me just to jog all these memories of the things that I heard about you and how you were. Now, with scoliosis, I mean, that's tough. Like, do you still have back problems today, or did scoliosis kind of help you, help you a lot?
I do have a back problem. It did help me. My biggest problem was that I grew up so fast. Like I grew up in one summer, like 15 centimeters or something. Like it was just too fast.
Yeah, that's about 5 inches for everyone else.
Yeah. And and I couldn't, like my muscles couldn't really bear with it. So
what did that feel like? I mean, you would jump in the water. I mean, did you just not be able to connect with your catches? What was?
No, it didn't feel like that. Actually, the water helps you. They say backstroke is the best for scoliosis, because you got to put your head all the way back and get your chest out. it didn't feel like that. Later on, when I developed muscles and everything, you know, I still feel here and there, but it's not such a big problem. I didn't have such a great problem as some others people might have. But and to get back to that time that you said that you felt like you had to study at that time, and that was like really hard, and now you see how that was really easy. You remember how North Thornton would tell us every season, like 20 times every season, guys, remember what I tell you right now. This is the time of your life. It's never going to be easier. It's never going to be better. You're never going to feel better than now. Now is the time. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. He used to say that all the time, and it kind of stuck back with me. Even when I went pro, even after school, it was just difficult. When you're pro, you gotta think about money much more. It just, money becomes something that everything evolves around it. If you don't have money, you can't go to United States to train with certain coach. You can't go here. You can't go there. You can't prepare yourself. Are you gonna eat a steak, or are you gonna eat something else, right? So you got to think about money a lot.
The cool thing was, I remember when, when you have $10, you don't have a choice to go have a steak or something. You get $10, you make it work. And it was kind of cool when it was just that simple. And, I remember those student days, when all of us were just broke, but, we were happy. And, I think we were happy just because all day, every day, we were mostly with our swimming friends, and we were, at Cal, for example, we were always surrounded by people with similar goals, and we were going toward this goal together. And I think, but that's what college swimming is definitely about. In some way, club swimming is very much the same way. You require your team, and you could definitely use the support of your team in helping you swim faster. Now, I remember swimming relays with you, and the thing about you is we could rely on Duje to throw down when it came down to it.
And I was always the first one. Remember that?
Well, not always, but I think that what was it about you? Did you just like to lead from the front? Or, because I think even when you had to chase, you did a really, really good job. No, but what was it about? Was it you wanting to beat that team, or was it you wanting to, do it for your team and do it for your brothers? What was it that, kind of, what did team mean to you?
Hey, not to interject here, but I remember Duje always leading off and get everyone super hyped, to be honest. I remember that, I remember one NCAA's, and you might need to correct me if I'm wrong here, Duje, but I think you led off the 4x100 freestyle relay, and I think you broke either the NCAA record or US Open record or some kind of record, and that just got everybody else, the other three guys, super hyped. And I remember it was just during, I think might have been just maybe during a dual meet, but I remember one time I was allowed, well, I'm going to say allowed because I was kind of more middle distance, but Mike put me in on a relay with Duje. And I was excited as hell. I was super excited that I could share that space with him, because obviously with his reputation and his accomplishments, but him as a person and him as an athlete, it's one of those honors.
Well,
all right. You done a lot of relays. What was it that pushed you and motivated you?
All right. So you got to know the whole story, right? You guys are younger. You weren't there with me my freshman year. So when I came as a freshman, I was already 11th at the Olympics. I was the youngest guy in semifinals by far at 100 free. European champion, European record holder, the fastest time ever in the world as junior. And I come to Cal and I train, of course, with Anthony Irvin. And I learned a lot from him. He learned a lot from me. Great relationship. And that first year, I got second at NCs. He beat me at 100 free, but we swam the relay, and I messed up really bad. Like I was the lead off, and I messed up. Like I slipped on the start, and we were first. I swam crazy. I still swam crazy good, but we didn't break the NCAA record, and I felt so bad. For the rest 3 years, I felt so bad towards those three guys. Anthony Irvin, Matt Macedo, and Joey Brucker. And we could have had NCAA record, and we didn't have it because of me, because I messed up that like first start, right? And I told Mike that night at NC's, I said, listen, always put me first. From now on, always put me first. I'm never going to mess up again. And I was always leading off, as you remember, and I was always swimming really fast in relays just because of that thing that happened to me first year. So yeah, that's something that stuck with me through my career. You know, that one mistake that made me a lot better.
I would have loved for you to overcome that one and incur a relay, you know, at the end. You know,
but you know what? If you remember me, just remember one meet. If you remember, the craziest I was ever to like towards the whole team, I was picking up the whole team, was the first time in the history that we beat Stanford at home. Like it was 20 years something that we're losing, and we beat them that year. Remember that?
I remember it was your senior year. It was a rainy day at Berkeley. Yeah. And right at the start, you know, you let out this battle cry, and you know, like usually and everybody just went in, and I let off that 4x100 medley relay. I'm not sure if it was in the beginning or the toward the end, but you know, I swam the backstroke, and I remember I went like a 46.7 or something like that, and I wasn't even swimming backstroke. We had no other backstrokers at that time, so it was up to me, and it was that battle cry. And that rally that got me in the pool, and again, you know, with very, very little rest, I blew my best time out of the water, and it was because because of that battle cry. You know, so team, you know, the team meant a lot to you, and at Cal, you know, we knew what, you know, the Cal Bear relay meant, what it meant to be on a relay, and when we swam it for everybody. It wasn't for ourselves. It was for everybody. Can you talk a little bit about what team meant to you? Just because we're building toward that, and there was a time when King was this huge team, and it meant something to be on a relay. It means something today, but my goal is to bring it back to that time, to where when you're on a relay, you're representing everybody on that bench. And you don't want to mess up, just because, again, it's that logo on your cap, and it's for all your brothers and sisters on the bench that cannot be in that relay. They want to be in that relay, but you know, you're one of those selected few. So can you tell us a little bit about how much, you know, team meant to you and your performance?
It's really different because, you know, I came from completely different state of mind. Swimming is an individual sport; it's not team. So when we started doing all these team meetings, did a lot of, you know, visualizations, and, you know, like a lot of psychological stuff, it kind of made a switch on me. You know, we were going through a lot, through not through like school and training, but we connected on a different level, you know. And North and Mike and Carl Moore, if you remember, they were all working on that really, really hard for us to connect. And of course, a vibe is really important, not only in the club team, but also in a national team. You know how it is in a national team.
Yeah.
So you got to know how to work with people you like, how to work with people you don't like, and how everybody should be aiming towards the same goal, to you know, to represent the team, to make team the best it can be. And of course, if I didn't have Dom by my side, or you, or Jonas Stille, or, you know, 100 other guys, you know, 4 or 5 years over my span at Cal, I wouldn't be as good as I was. So that's another thing, you know, team propels you as an individual.
I wanna admit to everyone here that there was a time when you and we weren't talking. We were not, you know. But one of the things about that was, you know, we had disagreements. Most of it was my fault. I admit that much. But I do remember going to practice with you, nevertheless, and being able to work with you, just because I knew that you knew stuff, and you could see stuff that I couldn't see. You know, maybe you also thought when you were working with me or training with me that there was value in that, and I think you know, what's important is, like you said, like, you don't need to always like who you're training with to work with them and to find value in having them there. You know, you're there. That's what a team is for. A group comes together with a similar goal, and you guys work together. Yeah, you know, I know that you come from a small place and didn't have that culture of team, but you know, do you think that team aspect elevated you in your swimming?
For sure, for sure. As said, like I wouldn't even swim so long if I didn't have a team. I think if I stayed at home as an individual, just at some point, if you're that good back home, you don't have anybody to train with. You know that. You know,
Yeah.
we come from small countries, so you don't have people to train with, and even other people from national team, they don't want to train with you. So
Yeah.
it's different. It's politics. It's way different. So definitely helped me a lot, made me who I am today, and propelled me. And I mean, I swam till I was 30. I wouldn't do that if I stayed at home. I probably would done maybe one Olympic cycle more. That would be tops.
Yeah. Hey, you know, I have to kind of go into this. You know, during that last Olympic cycle in 2012, I know that, you know, one summer, it was in 2010 or something like that. You had a bad sandwich, and you, from what I remember, you contracted salmonella from a
Yes.
bad sandwich. Could you tell us, you
No,
know,
I got like two. I had really bad food poisoning, actually 2 in a row, and I never really fully recovered from that. Like the biggest mistake at that time was I got food poisoning and I came back too soon. I should have skipped a season, the whole season. But you know, as again, as a pro athlete, you feel obligated towards your sponsors. You know, you're like carrying a lot more. You're carrying the whole like budget of the whole Croatian swimming. You know, everybody, all the journalists, it's kind of it's different vibe. And at that stage, I should have said like, oh, I'm not interested in anything. I just want to rest, and I pushed it, and I kind of messed up my organism, and like I struggled for a few years after that. I even had a pneumonia. And I also, a year later, I went to Africa and had to take anti-malarial drugs, and that messed me up more.
you even
Yeah.
suffered from you know, the pursuit of coming back and getting into shape. I remember you suffered from overtraining.
Yeah.
Can you like tell our kids what does that mean, and how did you feel, and you know, what was that process like? What does it mean to overtrain?
As said again, like you come into this, like it's more a mind game. You have a lot of sponsors, you're making a lot of money, you have a lot of pressure on you, like media, sponsors, the federal team, everybody, and you're pushing your body too much. And I paired up with a guy, you know him, Alexei, that came from
Mm-hmm.
Auburn, and he was training way differently than me, and we would train together, but we both overtrained. It's kind of crazy. We would work way harder than before, and I was older. I should have worked smarter, not harder, you know.
Yeah.
So just I could never really. You kind of feel all the time that you need to breathe, but you can't catch your breath. That's kind of overtraining, you know. Your body.
I remember you saying that you couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without your heart rate just jumping up to like 180.
Yeah. It just different moments, you know. Sometimes I couldn't get tired. Sometimes I couldn't even break a sweat, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just your body changes, and you really, your mind didn't change with it, and that's the biggest problem, you know.
Yeah. Your heart says go, but your body says no.
Yeah.
And really, despite all of this, you know, I remember you kept swimming, and I'll never forget you telling me, you know, you said that, you know, you were struggling to go a 22.7, you know, and you're somebody that's been a 21.9 in the 50 freestyle, you know. But I'll never forget that you said, you know, I'm swimming today for the love of it and for my soul. You know, and whatever happens, and I respected that, just because only by doing that I felt that, you know, you could walk away from the sport knowing that you gave everything.
Yeah, I mean, I was ready after Beijing. To be honest, I was ready. I was pretty much ready to finish, but I said, okay, let's push it for London Games. I didn't make it to London Games. It was a politic thing back home. But I did so much. I was like European champion. I had 100 IM, which was really strange for me during that time, those 2 years. And I did a lot of other medals at Europeans and Worlds. But yeah, I struggled last year and a half. It was really, really bad for me. I went from being feeling bad to feeling worse, and like I would recover a little bit, then I would get pneumonia, and then it would set me back again. Then I would go recover again, then something else was, set me back. It's luck, Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. I was lucky enough that I had luck many times in my life. When I was gambling throughout my career, that I was aiming always for lane 1 or 8, even at Europeans. So, and I was picking and choosing even before that. Like I wasn't aiming for every meet. I don't have one medal from World Cup, which is really interesting. I have all the other medals that you can think of: world champs, long course, short course, Europeans, long course, short course, European records, world records, Olympic Games, everything. But I don't have World Cup. I was never interested in it. It was
Yeah,
just,
who cares about the World Cup? Well, today you actually want to go to the World Cup and to the Pro Series for the money's a little different today, and that's pretty exciting. It's cool to see how far the the sport has come. I in a couple of minutes I wanna take questions. So everybody out there, if you would write out your questions in the group chat, I'll call on you to unmute yourself and to ask Duje directly. Yeah, could you tell us about your perfect race and how it felt? I mean, I remember reading Croatian news after you won the silver in 2004, and I remember the title. It was the title said something along the lines of like it was I felt God's kiss, and everything just came together for me. The Croatian people are very, very Catholic, but when I read that, I knew this about Croatian people, but I also know that that's a special thing that happens in swimming when all the blocks just line up. I mean, it's the stars that just lined up. Everything just was perfect. What did that perfect feel like for you?
well, to be honest, I had few perfect races. It wasn't just one. I had like 3 or 4 for sure that I can remember now. But yeah, of course, Olympics is something special, and I did that Olympics. I did something that I think nobody did before me. I think Matt Biondi was the first one to do it before me. I had 3 finals in 3 different sprint events: 50, 100 free, and 100 fly. And 100 fly was half an hour final before 50 free. And so I came into preparation room like 5 minutes before we all walked out to the blocks. They allowed me to do that because of the 100 fly final. And actually, Mike Bottom felt at that time that I was more ready to win a medal than 100 fly. But I had cramp. Like last 25, I was cramping so bad. And then came that 50 free, and I had lane 8, and I wasn't even thinking about it. Nobody expected me. I was the youngest one by far. I had less weight than everybody, and I just used that lane 8, and I used that I was, so pumped from the race before, and it was my last race of the Olympics, and I poured everything out. And yeah, 1 silver. Gary beat me by 1/100. You know how it is to lose by 1/100.
Yeah, I did not lose that race.
Nor did I, buddy. Nor did I. It's
Yeah.
if for people that don't know out there, actually, electronics cannot measure 3/100s. So you know how Mike, you used to like teach us when you look at the board where the metals are that connect faster to the machine.
The touchpad.
Yeah. And he always used to say 3/100s. What God gives you, right? It's you never know, some can
Yeah.
say if you swim against American, you can't beat them, or if you swim against certain people, you can't beat them. But it is what it is. I still was really happy. If I could have picked one guy to beat me, I would have picked Gary Hole. So I felt like winner that night, and everything felt great. But also, I broke world record in 50 free short course. That was a perfect race also with Mark Foster at that time at his home court in Manchester. I was also world champs in Shanghai. That was also a perfect race. And a lot of races at NCAAs, you know, like 100 free that I broke Popov's record by Ian Crocker beat me. That was also a perfect race. It's just,
Yeah, I remember that one.
Ian was on fire. He was like, he did 15 yards underwater last 25, and it was just so good.
Another reason to practice and really force that kick, because kick is everything. Dominic, would you please mute your? Yeah. Hey, you know, just another kind of fun fact, and but Duje, he also swam that Olympic final in 2004 with the Cal Cap.
Yeah.
I like to think that it was for Mike, our coach. You know, did that have anything to do with it?
Well, I'll tell you something. I'm the probably the first one and the last one that is ever going to do that. I got in so much trouble for swimming at Cal Cap. They wanted to DQ me actually after the first race, after the finals of 100 free. They wanted to disqualify me, but they didn't. And then I kept on swimming with it, and they asked like, we're gonna disqualify you. And I said, if you haven't by now, why are you gonna do it now, right? So I was kind of playing with IOC. I was playing the game. Are you gonna DQ me or not?
Boy.
And yeah, it was just a fun cap. It brought me a lot of luck that year at NC2As, and we got these caps from national swim team, and they were breaking, right? So I didn't have one from national team that I can rely on. And I just said, listen, I'm not going to wear some crap. I'm going to wear something that I feel comfortable in, right?
Yeah.
And of course, I had really friendly, and I still do really friendly, have great friend in Mike Bottom. I mean, he's more than a friend, you know, he's family. So Mike wrote a time underneath that cap. I still have that cap, by the way. I never used it after that. And he wrote a time that I can swim actually, and I did it, and I got silver at the Olympics.
Wow. That's so cool. Let's move on to some questions. Okay, let's see what we got. How about Shaw? About your first question, Shaw. Would you unmute yourself?
Yeah. What was the hardest moment in your career?
Oof. I had won Europeans in the same day. I was 2 races in a row. I was 4th. That was really tough, actually. Milo was there. Actually, he was rocking on that meet. That was a great meet for you, Milo. But I got 4th. That was Sunday. Eindhoven, Netherlands, and I got 4th in 53 and 4th in relay. That sucked. That was one of the roughest time.
It's tough. Mercedes, would you unmute yourself, please?
Do you think that your background helped you become the swimmer you are today?
For sure. Really, a lot. It make me really hard as a man, you know, living through war and coming from way different society that you used to here. You can't really understand how people think over there. Like if Michael Jordan walks anywhere in the world, people will stop him and ask him for autograph. If he walks in the main street in my city, everybody will look at him and say, oh, nothing special about this guy. I can beat him 1-on-1, right? It's the different mentality, and that mentality kind of either breaks you, and I've seen a lot of people break, or makes you, right?
All right. Brooke Yee, will you please read your question, please?
Um, which Olympic swimmer did you look up to the most?
Nobody, to be honest. They pushed me towards Popov because when I was a kid, I used to have a stroke like him, exactly like him. And the pace that he was swimming, how many strokes he did in the 50 and 100 free, I was always aiming to do that. But I never had a role model. I never wanted a role model. Even when newspaper would ask me like, oh, you swam against Popov, you were at the same podium with him. He's like one of the greatest of all time. Did you ask him for autograph or something? And I said, no, I want to be the guy. I don't want his autograph.
That Croatian mentality, you can beat him.
So, yeah. I mean, what am I going to do with his autograph? If I take his scalp, that's something, right?
So boy. Shaw, how about your last question that you wrote down?
Okay. How did you feel when you first stepped on the block of the Olympics?
It is a special feeling because, of course, you're with all these other athletes and the whole world is watching you. But the first time you step up, it's usually either a relay or it's morning heats and relay or morning race, whatever. So you just go through the motion. You don't feel it. You feel it the most at semifinals and finals. That's where the game is. We all swam at Cal with this guy, Rolandas Gimbutas. He's the guy that's like 7'0", that's 210. He's huge guy, right? And he comes to Olympics. He did that twice. He comes to Olympics and morning heats, he swims a result that he would be fighting for a medal in the afternoon. But when the afternoon comes and that pressure and that, you know, Milo, what it is in the afternoons, right? And it's way different than mornings. So you basically feel it for the first times in the semifinal.
I think you know, any final, you know, your biggest final, Shaw and everyone, you know, whatever your biggest final is, when Shaw and everyone else, like when you make it to you know, 14 and under and that final, it's gonna feel a little different. You know, it's gonna feel important. You know, but I remember one of the biggest swimming names before my Olympic final. He came to me and he said, I was eating alone. He said, hey, he's like, hey man, stop. I was like, stop eating. He's like, no, stop thinking what you're thinking. And I'm like, what am I thinking? And he said, you know, you're thinking about, you know, the pressure of that final tomorrow. He's like, I challenge you to why you got in this sport to begin with. And I was like, why? He said, because it's fun.
Yeah,
I think,
exactly.
you know, it's the gravity is a lot, you know, in any final. Every next big final that you come into, the gravity is just, it's heavy. You breathe this air that just feels really, really thick. But, you know, how did you feel after that first final? I mean, did you think it was crazy, or it was like, oh,
it's
like a good race?
I got fifth. I got fifth at 100 free, and I almost got third, but I had what's his name? Australian swimmer with a long sleeve suit. What's his name?
Michael Clem?
No. The most famous one.
Thorpe.
Thorpe. Yeah, Thorpe swam next to me. So for all of you out there, I was always the fastest guy out, right? I was like swimming really fast first 50. And this heavy guy named Ian Thorpe is swimming in the lane next to me. And what he does, he has the slowest 50 going out, right? So he drags out of me. I'm the skinny guy. He's the heavy guy. And I pull him for 75 meters. And then he gets third and I get fifth. So it was just one of those races, man. It was really bad. But definitely you feel it in the finals and the semifinals. And that's the fun thing. That's the fun part. That adrenaline rush that you feel before the race, the only better adrenaline rush you're going to have is if you win a medal. Nothing beats it. That's like the top, right?
You can't really see it, but the hairs on my arm, and it's a hairy arm, they stuck up because I remember that feeling. It's special. Hey, Dominic, I see your hand is hired. Would you please join this chat and say whatever you're going to say?
Hey guys, I was just kind of wondering. We got a pretty good idea of what Duje the swimmer was like, but kind of taking, kind of turning that page. And Duje, what would you say has been your greatest accomplishment outside the pool?
Oh, of course, family is number one, right? Being a dad, both of you know how important that is and how that changes everything in life. Of course, business side is also important. Are you going to be successful or not? But for me, it's been traveling the world, exploring, doing my hobbies. It's not so much about money and making money, how it is about quality of life, eating good food, enjoying life, and so on.
Yeah, there's very little that's better than becoming a dad. As much work as it is, it's the best feeling. Hey, Dominic, you have this little thing on your neck. I don't know if you took your gum out and just put it on your shirt, or is that something? But you definitely had something on your shirt just below your neck.
That's my daughter's bow. Thanks for pointing that out.
That's beautiful. Do we? Shaw has. If anyone else has questions, I would love to hear it. But Shaw, how about that last question that you just asked?
Okay. When in your career did you feel most accomplished?
Probably when I defended my world title with a world record. That was something special when you're a champion and then you defend it next round, right?
Yeah. Hey, Jack Budnick has the question, but his microphone isn't working. He asked, what is the best part of Croatia to see?
Dalmatian coast, I'd say from Zadar to Dubrovnik, and I would say islands are the best. The more islands you take in and see, it's the best.
I've got a lot of photos from when we were going island to island on one training trip. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. All right, guys. If you don't have any more questions, if you have a question, please write it out. Other than that, hey, Duje, you have one of the most unique backgrounds and different stories, and man, I loved hearing that Croatian mentality of just, I don't care who you are, I'm going to beat you, and
yeah.
And is that a cultural thing, or is that just that split life? Because you guys are a little dangerous down there.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story, right? So there's a saying. First of all, there's a saying in my town: if you're the best in the street, you're nobody. If you're best in the town, you're nobody. If you're best in the country, you're still nobody. It's a small country. Who cares? If you're best in the world, all right, you're okay, but you're nothing special.
That is a tough crowd.
The first time that I was actually junior European champion, right? I was 17 years old, and that was a pretty big success. I had 2 golds, came back home, and I remember going to the beach. And I came to the beach, and this guy comes out of nowhere. So it's some small beach on some island. He comes out of nowhere, and he's like, "Hey, I'll bet you in a case of beer that I can beat you right now, 20 meters." Think about it. I mean, some guy on some beach, who knows where, he doesn't train swimming, he doesn't know swimming, but he's confident he's going to beat me. He's going to bet me.
Yeah. That's, you should know in life that there's always going to be someone better until, until you're the best in the world. And that's forever, right?
Yeah, it's just, that's why you see Croatians doing crazy stuff in soccer, 4 million people country, and we're second in the soccer. We have tennis players that are top 10 all the time in ATP. We have great track and field, athletes, great rowing athletes, sailing athletes, shooting athletes, whatever. It's just that mentality, because we don't have infrastructure, we don't have pools like you guys have here. We're lagging really bad. And our coaches don't know much.
Yeah.
So if you come from there and you make something out of yourself, your success is at least 20 to 30% more than from somebody coming, from some other mentality that he can have whatever he wants every workout. He can eat whatever he wants, and his coach actually knows what he's doing. That's a big advantage, you know.
Guys, I want to wrap this up and leave us all with two messages. It's important what you think. You are what you think. If you think that you're not ready, it's not going to happen. If you're going to go in there, courageous and give it all your best and just have fun, it's going to work out. And Duje, I don't know if you know this, but where we train every day regularly is where we used to swim Pac-10s in Washington. So that's our office, and that's where we.
I never swam actually there. We only did Long Beach when I was swimming.
Is that right? Oh,
yeah.
Man. That is
never been to Seattle, to be honest.
We hope that this COVID scare is gonna be a thing of the past soon. I know that you had it in your plan to drive up through Washington and visit us. We don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. So, if you are able to come through here, we would be really, really happy to see you. All right.
Yeah, I'll race you, Milo. How about that?
I have last summer I won a 24.6 in the 50 fly flat start. Not bad.
Since I quit in 2012, I did 10 strokes altogether, but I'll still race you.
Oh boy, that's that great mentality. That's that mentality. All right, guys, thank you for your time. Have a good night, and again, Duje, thank you.
Have a good night, guys.